Hello everyone, it's Josh here with Solo Trip Abroad, and I wanted to welcome you on this beautiful day that we're here in Phuket, Thailand. I'm back from my trip to Kuala Lumpur the last couple of days, and I wanted to make a quick video to share some of the lessons that I learned during this time. It was a great little trip. My primary intention was to go over and explore some yoga studios, see what the scene is like over there in Kuala Lumpur for yoga, and that's exactly what I did. Unfortunately, I was only able to make it to one studio, but I did a couple classes at this studio, and I thought that I would share the experience that I had today with going to the studio and the class. So the first part was I had looked up online the name of the studio, where it was, the schedule, all of this stuff, and it was very exciting to see all those things listed because it made it very easy for me to plan my trip around this. And they listed the type of class that it was, you know, Hatha, Vinyasa, Ashtanga, and what level it was. Usually it's Hatha 1, Hatha 2, or Hatha 3. Ashtanga is a little bit different, but I don't practice Ashtanga, so it's not a worry. Anyways, the first sign of trouble that I had was finding exactly where the studio was. I knew a rough approximation, but it wasn't a street level studio. It was up in one of the buildings, and I was across the street. I had stopped for a coffee and did some work on my iPad before heading up. So I figured, you know what, it's about 40 minutes until the class starts. I'll just cross the street, get into class, I'll pay, I'll change, and then, you know, I'll be there a few minutes early. I can stretch, and that way I'm not stretching as part of the routine. And I swear, it was so hard finding this studio just across the street. It was ridiculous. I was looking on Google Maps, and the pin was just in, like, away from the street, but in a blank area. And this area made it look like a mall, because there was a fancy mall there. And what was really weird was that they didn't list what floor it was on. So I said, okay, well, it's obviously not on street level because I'd see it out here, and it's really weird that they're not listing the floor, because that's just what you do when you're not on street level, right? Anyways, so I'm looking on the website again, and the studio's going on about how they want their students there early, and so that they can warm up, and it made it sound like it was a really disciplined studio, that the students who attended this studio must be like pretty serious about their practice, because, you know, you hydrate for 4 hours in advance and you don't eat for 4 hours, and usually it's just like, you know, 3 hours, and everybody arrives early, and, you know, you pay online and you have to book and all this stuff. So it sounded like it was pretty intense. And then I'm looking around, I can't find it. I call the phone number on the website, nobody picks up. I check Facebook Messenger, and it says they usually respond in 5 hours. And by this time, there was like 10 minutes left until class. I end up wandering to the next building and find out that it's in this hotel on the 5th floor as part of their fitness facility. There is a lady at the front desk for the spa, but she's not affiliated with the yoga studio. And then she points me in this direction where it's kind of like around the hallway, and there's no front desk, there's just a room. And I was feeling really frantic because, you know, at this point there's only a few minutes left until class. I don't want to be that newbie showing up at the very last minute or late and all this stuff. Anyways, long story short, when the teacher finally did show up, she herself was a few minutes late, and I was a little bit agitated because all of these expectations had been set. It was really hard to find the studio, and I felt very rushed and pressured trying to get there on time when I couldn't find it and the contact options weren't working. So anyways, I finally get into class, and the teacher starts the session, and depending on your level of knowledge about yoga, some classes, they repeat a sequence of poses called asanas over and over again, and others don't. And in this case, this teacher started out by repeating the same sequence over and over and over throughout the beginning of the class, and what would turn out to be the entire class, which had me a little bit agitated because I came here for this level 2 class, which is supposedly intermediate, and here we are doing mostly the same sequence over and over with a few modification poses, which is more of a certain vinyasa style. that she was doing instead of a half a 2 level class. And the lesson that I learned was that just to accept and to be. I came to this class and I'm new to this studio, I'm new to this city. I have no idea what she's practicing with her regular students, and I have no idea where they are, and it's important that I appreciate and value the fact that I have the opportunity to come to this studio to practice with other students and to really just learn and to observe. And it's not about how much of my yoga I can show off. It's not about how advanced the sequence is. It's just about coming to class and sharing the experience with the other students who are there. And that took a little bit of time to sink in, but once it did sink in, which was about the first half hour of the hour and a half long class, then everything got much smoother and I could simply enjoy the practice, be present in the moment, and observe what the teacher was doing so that I could learn something. And unfortunately, it took me half an hour to learn this out of an hour and a half long class, but I ended up staying for a second class that was 2 hours back to back, and or like the first class was an hour and a half and then the second class was 2 hours, and it was immediately after the first one. So by that class, I was already warmed up, feeling amazing, and had just really let go that this teacher was doing the same sequence over and over with very few additional poses. So the lesson that I learned is that we can set all these expectations. We can think that all of these things are going to come true and going to build up in our mind, and we can add all kinds of pressure and stress to ourselves. But at the end of the day, we just simply need to allow our experience to be what it is and to enjoy it for what it is. Because otherwise, when we set expectations for ourselves, we just set ourselves up for failure, and we just need to go and be in the moment. So anyways, this was a really great lesson for myself. I was able to carry it throughout the second class and for the rest of my trip in Kuala Lumpur. I have 2 more lessons that I learned in the city, and I'm going to be sharing those with you in parts 2 and 3 of these video series, so stay tuned and check those out. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope that you have an amazing day wherever you are in the world. Cheers.